Hello everyone, I am Gregory, and I host The Wandering Wind. I love My Little Pony. I love to play video games and to create content for you guys. I also have been in the past diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder. I have been diagnosed with a syndrome known as Asperger's. It's also classified as a high-functioning form of autism. And this being Autism Awareness Month, I want to bring awareness to this kind of a condition, not with just the facts, because to be honest, facts don't help us. Facts don't give you a picture of what it's like living with something like this every day of your life. What does give you a picture of it is personal stories about people and things that we experience that make us uncomfortable, make us happy, and just overall are just things that we deal with in everyday life. So for me, I'll start with the good about having Asperger's syndrome. It is true that those of us on the autism spectrum think differently from other people. And while some may think this is a curse, and others may think that this is a suffering kind of thing, I beg to differ, because I think that thinking atypically, like quite off the wall compared to everyone else in the world, makes us blessed, because we're able to see the patterns that others can't. We're able to understand things that other people wouldn't even dream of. And also, since people on the autism spectrum disorder, especially myself, I tend to focus on the things that I find most interesting. Because I do that, I really excel in learning everything I can about whatever I'm focused on or interested in. And so that makes me so much better at what I'm doing when I love it. For example, I've recently started to be able to start working on being a part-time computer and electronics repairman, a freelance one, because a friend of mine, he attends Wednesday night Bible studies with me at my local church, and he had a problem with his old phone. It had a flickering screen. It would shut off and wouldn't come back on. The phone would still be on, but the screen would be off. I said I'd look at it. I was able to fix it, and I got $25 out of the deal. Now, granted, that's a whole lot less than somebody working for a company, but that's a huge accomplishment for someone like me when I have such a difficult problem with just interacting with people normally throughout the day. Another thing about having Asperger's or any autism spectrum disorder is that it is extremely hard for me, especially, to understand the deeper nuances of emotion. I can understand the basics. I can understand that pain hurts, that being sad is not good, and that being happy is something that should be desired. I am confused by the emotions of love that are meant for a man and a woman. Now, love for family, love for friends, love for people in general, that I understand, because I'm a very empathetic and compassionate person, because not having a proper understanding of social norms, I've had to rely on being a compassionate individual in order to be able to assimilate and integrate into different social groups. Another thing that we Aspies and a lot of autism spectrum people struggle with is the fact that we may look normal on the outside, but on the inside we're completely different people from the typical person. And so when people judge us based on what they can see and not what they know about us personally, it hurts, because to hear someone on the street, to hear a child on the street ask their parent, "Mommy, is that man fat because he's lazy?" and then hear the parent say, "Yes, dear." First of all, that's a judgment that no one wants to hear. But second of all, being an autistic or autism spectrum individual, it is really difficult to find true compassion from other people. Also having social anxiety and mental anxiety and physical anxiety about things that we can't control, that is something that always plagues us, and is something that always there are days where I really hate being part of the autism spectrum group, but at the same time I love it, because like I said before, we see things so differently from other people. I'm able to go out into the world and look and be amazed with all that I can see. Well, all that I can see, considering I'm in about 5 to 10 years I'm going to have Coke bottles for lenses. But yeah, I think that too many people are too quick to judge and to dismiss the struggles of Asperger's and autism spectrum disorders at large, because they think, oh well, they're nothing but another form of retard. And I hate the word retard. I know that the technical term is mental retardation, but to have the technical term be twisted into a slur against people is just reprehensible. It's just awful. To those of you that are on the autism spectrum, just understand that while other people may never understand you, as long as you know who you are and are comfortable with who you are, it shouldn't matter. And if it does, then you really need to look into loving yourself more. I had to learn to love myself. All 200 and some pounds of me. I say that with a laugh, because one of the things that a lot of us want people to know is that in social situations, we're not liable to act in a typical fashion to different events. At funerals, while other people may cry, we may laugh in order to feel better because we're uncomfortable with the situation. In certain social situations where everyone's grouping in on us or ganging up on us or whatever, we may start crying or start withdrawing because we feel upset, and we feel uncomfortable, and we feel just plain out of our element. And to be honest, not very many of us are going to be social butterflies. Another thing we want you guys to know, those of you that don't have this kind of disorder and that are typical, another thing we want you to know is that while we all may be classified under the same spectrum, not a single one of us is the same as another one of us. When you meet an Asperger's individual or an autism spectrum individual, you're meeting an autism spectrum individual. You're not meeting every autism spectrum individual. So, just like No two people of any race or creed or culture or nation are the same. No two autism spectrum individuals are the same. We may have similarities, and there may be things that psychologists and developmental physicians and stuff may be able to say, okay, that's a similarity, that's something that is a commonality among autism spectrum disorders, and so therefore is something to be used as a hallmark for diagnosis. But just because something is a hallmark for diagnosis doesn't mean we all share that. Some of us repeat what others say or make loud or unintelligible noises or flap arms to make ourselves more comfortable with the situation we're in. Not all of us do that. Some of us have trouble making eye contact. Others don't. Some of us have trouble being socially outgoing. Others don't. Others have very little in the way of social boundaries and have basically, they never meet a stranger in their minds. Some of us are gifted with a savant syndrome that allows us to be extremely skilled in certain areas that normally without outside help we wouldn't be able to excel in. Others don't. Others are just, we're autism spectrum individuals and we're different, but we're not, so we're not super gifted. We're all different people, and we all speak the same, well, we all speak different languages, but we all want three things in life: to feel safe, to feel accepted, and to find our place in the world. Now, we may not exactly know what that means or what exactly what we want, and we may not be able to vocalize or communicate what we want or need, but these are the essential social needs of every person, whether they may be developmentally disabled or not, whether they may be an autism spectrum individual or an atypical person or a typical person, whether we suffer from psychological issues or are completely and perfectly healthy by psychological standards. We all search for meaning in life. We all search for comfort, and we all search for a place that we can belong and we feel is meant for us. This has been my autism awareness video. I will continue making occasional awareness videos of this kind where I talk about the different struggles I myself go through and talk about how certain situations and certain things that people say about people with autism spectrum disorders make me feel, because to be honest, there are things that people say about autism spectrum individuals that makes me upset, others that make me feel proud that people are still able to understand and accept others for who they are and not what they are born with or what they end up developing later on in life. And another thing, I may have been born with an autism spectrum disorder, but that does not determine who I am. I am not a disabled individual. I am a different individual. Just like you're a different individual from your parents, from your siblings, from your children, from your neighbors. We're all our own unique being. And we need to learn to accept people whether or not they fit into the typical picture or not. Because to be honest, if we don't accept each other, how can we accept ourselves? Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you guys learned something from this video. I know I learn every day quite a lot just from living and loving who I am and learning more about where I stand and what I can do and what I can accomplish when I really do work for my goals. One of my goals that I was able to accomplish was I have a YouTube channel, and I'm able to reach people and communicate with people on such a level that it makes a difference every day of my life and every day of your lives. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me, and thank you for being one of the understanding individuals that doesn't leave just because I have something that makes me different from the rest. So many people leave once they hear that I either like ponies, or that I'm a huge video gamer, or when they hear that I have Asperger's. And to be honest, that makes me sad, but that also lets me know that they were never going to truly be open-minded anyway. And so it's better that they leave than that they stay and they make their opinion heard so loudly that other people parrot it. If you guys like the video, as always, hit that like button down below. It should be around here somewhere. That subscribe button over here is always open to new viewers, new individuals that want to see what I have coming up in store. The share button is down there for you to share with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. And as always, I will leave links in the description of the video for my new line of coffee mugs that I'm designing through Teespring. Thank God for Teespring. I tell you what, I may not be having any customers yet, but once I do, that will be another revenue stream that will make me an independent individual that can earn money from home without ever having to worry about getting judged for an interview or turned down because of my weight or my appearance, or even my behavior, for that matter. Thank God for Teespring, thank God for Patreon, and thank God for you guys. Until next time, I thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Oh, one more thing before I leave. And also, just as a side note, we autism spectrum disorder people also tend to jump from subject to subject quite a lot. So, sorry about this, but one of the things that I'm planning on in the future is, and this is also autism related, I'm planning on playing through a PC game called To the Moon, in which one of the characters has Asperger's. Now, in the game it's never explicitly stated, but Word of God says that yes, the problem, the diagnosis that is constantly mentioned is Asperger's. And so this will be a game that will be very rewarding emotionally for me, and hopefully for you as well. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button again if you haven't yet already, and make sure to always stay tuned for my latest videos. Thank you so much.